I was. So I ended up having to go with a wedding planner one. They didn't have anything for photographers specifically. So sort of had to kind of make things up on the fly. And it just wasn't really me. It was very pastel, neutral colors, um, really muted, and it was all on one page. So I didn't really get a lot of depth to the website at all. And I ended up having to figure out how to do anchor linking, which took forever. And it just didn't seem like it really fit me, but it fit well enough to kind of work for a couple of years for me at least. And I just thought, okay, done is better than perfect. It's out there, that's fine. The information is there. But I was constantly finding little mistakes, and I just wasn't fully in love with it. And it was hard. I couldn't get the desktop and the mobile version separate. So anytime I moved something on the mobile version, it would move it on the desktop version too. And so there was never a way to make those both look good. One or the other was going to be kind of funky. So it was really frustrating.
Yeah. How do you feel like your website now compares?
I am obsessed with my website. I look at it every day. um, now I feel like it's definitely more me. So I was on the hunt for something a bit more bold and something different than what other wedding photographers are doing. And it ended up being extremely easy for me to edit, which was amazing because I am not tech savvy hardly at all. So I ended up being able to really easily change out text. And the fonts that were already on there were fonts that I liked and wanted to use regardless. So it worked out that way that I didn't have to go through and change a lot of that. Um, and then with Show It, you do get the separate desktop and mobile, which was amazing. So the only hard thing about that was when I had to recreate the package selection. But outside of that, it took me, I don't know, a couple of weeks maybe of working on it here and there, tinkering to get everything on the site except for the colors. It was a breeze.
Awesome. That was going to be my
Yeah.
next question was how long did it take?
Yeah, yeah. So it really, really only took a couple of weeks probably to do. I already had most of the ad copy done for my previous website, and it just took me a while to find some photos for it. And then in total, it did take 2 months just because I could not figure out what colors I wanted to use. So the brand colors ended up taking me longer than actually editing the website.
Yeah. So how did you come up with your brand colors?
So I have always been really bad with this. And I think something that happens to a lot of people, especially newer in the industries, you get really caught up with all the fads that are going on at the time. And so when I first started to dive into having a brand, so I'd had a business, but not really a website or a brand or anything, I was kind of caught up in that moody trend, even though that's not my personality at all. And then I got kind of swept away in all the pretty pastels and still not really me. Um, and so finally, after I kind of came out of all of that, it was really overwhelming and honestly left me kind of depressed because I kept thinking I can't fit myself into this successful mode that I see everyone else achieving. You know, I see people who are those pretty pastel colors and they're booked out for weddings. So why can't I make that fit me and be happy? I finally came to my senses and decided, let me at least pick one color that I know that I love, that I know is going to represent me well. And a friend of mine said that I should use yellow because it evokes happiness. It's, you know, kind of all about that optimistic personality trait. So I went with yellow and I found a billion different shades of yellow and then just kind of started playing from there. And I probably honestly went through an overwhelming amount, I think over 50 different color palettes I made on Adobe Color.
Oh, wow.
Just from like pulling from Pinterest and different photos and stuff. And I tried all of those in the website and I didn't like them. And then after a really frustrating night, I had checked your website and you had a blog post about how you discovered your brand colors. So I just followed your advice. I knew yellow was my main color. So how do I find everything that's going to complement it well? And I sort of went through and thought, okay, well, opposite is purple, but I don't want like a really bold purple color. So I played with a color wheel that way. And then from there, I was able to build out the rest of the brand colors with the neutrals, and the dark accent ended up coming really easily because I was able to kind of lighten up my purple and find a really nice gray with a purple hue under it. And then that darker brand color for the fonts is like a really dark green, I think. And I liked that as opposed to black. So I felt like it all just kind of came together in, I don't know, probably 20 or 30 minutes. And I felt so silly because I'd spent like 3 years trying to find the perfect color palette, and you tore it down for me in 30 minutes. So I thought that was just such a helpful resource. But it was nice to have something to follow sort of step by step that kind of cracked the code, I guess. So that was a really nice way of finding that. But having my main color in mind and narrowing it down to a shade that I really liked and I had already seen worked well on the website, that was the biggest step that ended up leading to the rest of those brand colors. Videos in the resource library, I wish I would have watched the videos on how to edit the website first before I started editing everything. But I had some friends who have been on Show It for a long time, and they helped me when I had some different questions. And then I went through the SEO, which has been really great. I always knew in a way that you needed to rename your pictures, metadata and keywords, but I never really understood how they all work together or what should be what. So I went through that kind of SEO training and was able to rename all of my pictures and then add that alt text. And then I was also able to skip is it the keywords that's not, Google doesn't use really anymore? Yeah, so those meta keywords, I was able to skip that altogether. I probably would have tried filling that in too, which would have been a time waster. So that was probably one of my favorite resources that I used from you. I spent 2 or 3 months just finding the perfect template. I had decided that I wanted something that would at least last me 2 years so I could save up for a personal website done by a designer. And then when I started digging into it more and I found your template, I decided with the resources and the fact that the template was like pretty darn close to what I wanted in the end anyway, it's been worth the investment already. So I ended up spending, I think, 1.5 times or 2 times what I had budgeted on it. But yeah, if you're thinking about buying a template, I would say definitely do your research, find the one that you absolutely love, and think about expanding that budget if you can, just so that you can get something that's going to be a little bit more unique, maybe come a little bit more robust, and have your brand colors ready and kind of your brand kit ready if you've got one, because that'll make things so much easier. And can I say no because I want to keep it to myself?
Yes. No one.
No, photographers, you don't want this. It's not good. No. Yeah, so yes. Yes, because it's amazing. No, because I want to be selfish and keep it all to myself. But especially since I know initially, I think the way it's set up might not necessarily be for a wedding photographer in general. It seemed a little bit more like coach oriented or planner oriented, that kind of thing. So I think it would definitely be perfect for anyone in those types of fields. And then for photography, even if they don't do weddings, it was so adaptable because you've got the 3 different gallery types. I chose the tile gallery for all of mine because I know for me personally, I really like just love to mindlessly scroll through everything as opposed to doing the slideshows. But I'm also trying to present a few hundred pictures to someone so that they can go through that. So if that's not your model and you've got a few, there's the other two types of gallery options, which was really nice. And yeah, I guess it was just overall super easy. I just appreciated that you had so many of those additional resources. So, I mean, no offense to what's already on in the Show It store. Um, but what I actually kind of found surprising is when I went to look for Show It templates, I searched on Google, I searched on Pinterest, and I searched the Facebook group. Um, Especially when searching on Google, in Pinterest, I only found at most 10 designers who design outside of the ones that are listed in the Show It design store. So that kind of blew my mind. I really thought that there was going to be a lot more people and a lot more to choose from. And so I think that's why I got really anxious about not finding kind of the right thing. And so I just think for me, it was really important to find something that was bold, that was different, and allowed my personality to come through. And so I really think that you captured that really well. And I have already sent a couple people to your site because I know you have more templates than just the August and Park one too. So I was like, yeah, please go check her out. She has some really good stuff on there. So I thought that was just really nice that you had something different than what everybody else was offering. So I appreciated that a lot. And then plus the resources to boot, I'll say it 100 times. And it's been such a godsend for those.